This is Sanya from Edureka. Good evening to few people and good morning to few others. And welcome to this session of Mastering OpenStack. Or as per se, you will learn or get a clarification on what basically OpenStack is and what is AWS, what you need to pick up, what you don't need to pick up, and all those things. So we will have many things that we will have in this introduction session of OpenStack. I will take you through the slides, and I will also take you through what Edureka has, what modules they have, and what batches that they have, so that you guys can enroll yourself to the sessions, to the classes. So this is an introductory webinar for OpenStack to get a clear picture of what basically this is, what market role does it have, and where does it actually stand. So before we get started, can I quickly get to know everyone's technology and what they are working on at this point of time? It's just a one word is fine with me to get to know what you guys are working on. Okay, so we have a mixture of a lot of people with different domain. Okay, that's great. Okay, that is fantastic. Okay. So we've lot of people with lot of different variety of knowledge that they have, the domains that they have. So every one of you have same goal in your mind, that you need to know what OpenStack basically is, and why there is a storm about OpenStack and what it is talking about these days. So we will move towards understanding OpenStack step by step. We will go through a small introduction about what OpenStack is. We will basically see how it looks like in an environment, and how you can actually work on OpenStack. We may not be able to go into the in-depth of any of the topics, but we will definitely grab an opportunity to check the infrastructure just a bit. So we will see that. We will also discuss a little bit about the differences between AWS and OpenStack. Basically, both of the infrastructure as a service, but there is a different approach to both of them. The destination for both, or the reason for which they stand, is kind of the same, but the way it is approached is a little bit different. So we will discuss about that. Then there is when and where we actually want to implement OpenStack. What kind of infrastructure will basically support OpenStack? We'll see a little bit about DevOps and its orchestration management tools. So it's basically about what is before OpenStack and what is after OpenStack. Many of you must already be aware of what is before OpenStack, but we will brush it up a little, and we will discuss about OpenStack, and then therefore we will discuss what to do after we have an infrastructure or a private cloud of our own with OpenStack. Okay. In the meantime, I would see or find certain amount of time to discuss the questions that you guys have, and we will see what you guys have. So I will address to the questions later on. let's begin. Let's talk about what basically OpenStack is. My simple definition to OpenStack is that it is a framework that facilitates a private cloud. Okay, so it has got certain set of modules, certain set of repositories, which facilitate which facilitate you to achieve a private cloud within an organization. This is also known as infrastructure as a service because it has delivered the infrastructure. On the top of it, whatever applications and whatever operating systems that you want to deploy is completely your own choice. OpenStack is based on Linux platform. So if you guys are wondering what about Windows, then at this point of time, OpenStack is not on Windows platform. This is completely on a Linux platform. The contributors and the developers who had come together for OpenStack, they specifically rely on Linux platform. So it could be anything. It could be Debian, it could be SUSE, it could be Red Hat or Ubuntu. Okay, so it depends on what kind of operating system that you want to opt for, but it specifically has to be a Linux operating system to make the OpenStack work properly. OpenStack is also an open source. Okay, so it's freely available to you out there, so that you guys can actually check the modules, deploy the modules in your production environment. It's basically very suitable for the commodity hardwares. So the infrastructures where there is not much of the cost involved, people usually do want to go with the OpenStack because they don't want to spend a lot of money with the other technologies, say VMware, where they have vRealize or AWS. So it's like it's the same model as pay as you go, where OpenStack has the infrastructure which you guys will be supporting and giving it to the customers and charging them according to the utilizations that they make. So if you guys, if any one of you guys have the front end exposure to AWS, you must understand that when we talk about the OpenStack, we mean that we are standing at the back end but not at the front end. So we will not be the utilizers, but we will kind of create a private cloud and give it to the customers to utilize. So this is same as pay-as-you-go model, which is being opted in AWS as well. So this is what is OpenStack. There are many contributors that have come to support OpenStack. There are many developers who are working on various modules, various scripts, configuration files of OpenStack to help it grow stronger. It's just been like 5 years for OpenStack in the market, but it's really taking up the pace, So it's really good for the infrastructure which is small and doesn't want to invest too much money into licensing and buying the new hardwares which are upgraded, updated versions. So it's safe to work on the commodity hardware if you're using OpenStack. Okay, so that's that about OpenStack. So what it says is OpenStack is a set of software tools for building and managing the cloud computing platforms for both public as well as the private clouds. So when you want to achieve a public cloud, that is possible. When you want to achieve a private cloud, that is possible. So it's kind of a framework basically when you want to achieve the cloud functionality with the pay-as-you-go model. Everything will be connected via networking in your infrastructure. Okay, backed by some of the biggest organizations in the software development. This is as true as it gets. There are many companies, Mirantis, Red Hat, PayPal, eBay, HP, Dell, Gluster, Ceph. These are just to name a few, There are many companies, there are many contributors to the OpenStack. There is a community of the developers for the OpenStack, where they are constantly working on developing the modules, developing the scripts, and facilitating you with your infrastructure. So one thing that you need to note about OpenStack is you cannot expect a vendor support out of OpenStack because it is an open source. So the people who are working on the Linux platform or who have an experience on open source, they would understand that why there is no specific vendor support which is available, and how they need to actually work around with the things which are open source. Okay. So that's the basic terminologies or the statements which will introduce you with to OpenStack. Okay. So as we move along, we have many components which are there. The basic components are compute modules, network modules, as well as the storage modules. These modules are integrated. These are the certain set of files which are integrated with the infrastructure to facilitate the cloud, to facilitate the private cloud. One thing that has to be noticed over here is that it is a shared service. So when you have the compute module or the network module or the storage module, these are the shared services when you want to create a cloud infrastructure using OpenStack. Okay, and the web interface which is available for you within OpenStack is a dashboard, which is a stateless GUI model, which facilitate you to provide a front end. The most flexible way to approach OpenStack is via the command line. It's more stronger. It gives you more openness towards the configurations and the management of the tool. So we will go through a lot of modules which are there in OpenStack, but these are the building blocks of OpenStack. Say the first one is the compute, the second one is the networking, the third one is the storage, and the rest is the way that you actually want to access the OpenStack. This is what basically the OpenStack is. There is a very interesting history that is associated with OpenStack. It was a project initially by NASA. One moment. Okay, so the journey that OpenStack had was initially with NASA, and it was not available to the public. They used it in their own private cloud because of their own security reasons. Then later on, they launched it to the public. They launched it in the market. It was immediately picked up because it was an open source, of course, and companies they always actually look up to something that is cost effective, and the way that they can make use of the commodity hardwares in the best possible manner. So it was launched to help the organizations with their cloud computing services. At that point of time, cloud was still a challenge. It is not still a challenge because we've achieved a lot many things with the cloud, but yes, there are still many challenges that we need to face because cloud computing is not as good as what we say or what we expect it to do. So there are many components, in order to achieve you or in order to provide you with the cloud computing, as I've already told you, like VMware has their own cloud components. Then there is AWS. So in the similar manner, then there is OpenStack. It's a non-profitable and a corporate funded entity. So as I've already told you that this is an open source, so it's like various companies or contributors, they've come together to work upon OpenStack. It's an open source and built by the community of the developers. There are more than 500 companies that have joined this project. This is one of the fastest growing open source communities at this point of time. There are many other, but when it comes to the private cloud, this is one of the best at this point of time. Seeing the response that it is getting, it has started grabbing up a lot of importance. It has started grabbing up a lot of weightage. So it's hard to actually neglect such kind of technology. Okay. So then, what are the components of OpenStack? So we had a slide earlier which was stating the building blocks of OpenStack, where we needed some compute resources, where we needed some networking component, where we needed the storage. But when we chunk it down a bit, we will find that there are a lot more other modules which are also associated with OpenStack. There is the dashboard, which I've already told you, that the GUI, which is used to basically access the infrastructure, that is known as the Horizon dashboard, as you see on the top of it. Otherwise, it is going to be any REST API, or it is going to be the command line interface with which you will access the infrastructure of OpenStack. Then there are the services which are compute, neutron, storage. In storage, there are many components which are integrated. There is Swift, there is Cinder, there is Manila. There is compute. Compute means the resources. So it's CPU, it's your RAM, it's your ephemeral disks, the CPU cycles, the security groups, the floating IPs, which are the public IPs. So these are the pool which is included in the compute module, which helps you launch a particular instance on the top of the infrastructure. The similar manner that you launch a virtual machine in a VMware or in a Citrix environment, or maybe say Hyper-V infrastructure within Microsoft. Okay, so it's in the same manner. The approach is a bit different, how you do it or how you achieve it. Then there is another compute, which is Ironic. Ironic is basically used to manage the hypervisors or the cluster of hypervisors. Then there is telemetry service, which is basically grabbing the metrics, the utilization of the resources. Then there is OO. Then there is a heat orchestration module. It's the same as Puppet or Chef or Salt or Ansible. These are the orchestration tools which are used to actually manage the infrastructure when it comes to the automation. When we want to automate a lot of things, we actually want to depend on the orchestration tools. So either you use Heat, which is a module which is already there within OpenStack, or you can integrate it with the other orchestration tools, say Puppet or Chef. So it depends on what modules you are comfortable with. Then there is the database management. Trove is one database. By default, MariaDB is used within OpenStack. You want to integrate it with any other SQL database, that is completely possible. Then there is a message queue, which is known as a CAR. RabbitMQ is another message queuing protocol which is used in OpenStack. Then there is an identity service. So identity service is nothing but the authentication and the authentication and authorization service, which is available to authenticate you when you log into the OpenStack and gives the access to any other modules within the OpenStack. Then there is data processing, which is Sahara. Same as what you have this in big data or Hadoop. So if you want to have an infrastructure for the big data or Hadoop, you want to have the Sahara module also added to your infrastructure so that it can support your big data. Then there is a key management, Barbican, and the DNS management system, which is known as Designate. So you have Designate facilitate your domain name services easily, so that change that relieves a lot of your own headache. So these are the modules, but these are not just the modules with OpenStack. There are many modules. There is Chef, there is Cluster FS. There are ways to integrate this OpenStack with the underlying VMware infrastructure. Okay, so these things make OpenStack. Okay, when you have these things in your infrastructure, this will give you a complete feel, a complete look of infrastructure where you can achieve a private cloud of your own within an organization. Okay, so these are the components of OpenStack. So this says the similar thing. When we are talking about the sender, we are talking about the storage. When we are talking about the neutron, we are talking about the networking. So these are the terminologies which are basically used in OpenStack. Okay. When we talk about the Swift, we mean that we are talking about the object store. When we are talking about the Glance, Glance is an image service where you upload your images. Then there is Nova, which is the compute module. There is Keystone, which is known as the identity service. And then there is Horizon Dashboard. So these are the terminologies which we need to understand, which is the standard terminologies used in OpenStack. OpenStack, even though it is an open source, it follows the standards which are out there in the market. So you don't have to worry about it not working with something, some other third-party plugins, because it follows the standard. So you can always integrate this with the third-party plugins as much as possible. So let's say the storage components will have a lot of third parties. You might have storage provided by the Dell or by the IBM or EMC. Those third-party drivers can easily be integrated with OpenStack, and you wouldn't have much of a problem in integrating the modules. Okay, so now that we've learned about OpenStack, we want to compare the differences between what is OpenStack and what is AWS. AWS is also something which is infrastructure as a service, which is being provided to you in the market. It has been there for a very, very long time, basically. So it is like safe to say that AWS is at this point of time the main competitor in the market, and it's basically on the top. It's safe to say that it is basically on the top. But what makes OpenStack different from AWS? The first thing is the naming conventions which are being used. So the way AWS works is nothing more different in what we work with OpenStack. But yes, the infrastructure in OpenStack is completely based on the Linux, and the modules which you install in OpenStack is in your hand. Okay, so it's easy to work around with the files. If you are a Linux administrator, you would find yourself much more comfortable with OpenStack. The naming conventions are different, so you can always Google around with what naming conventions is being used. The most important ones which people are most familiar with in AWS is EBS, S3, and EC2. So EC2 is like a compute node in OpenStack, which is known as Nova. S3 in AWS is known as Swift in OpenStack. EBS in AWS is known as Cinder in OpenStack. Okay, so those of you who have already had an exposure in AWS, you would find OpenStack a little bit similar to work with, but with better exposure, basically. Yeah. So then there is, yeah, and of course, the orchestration in AWS is known as CloudFormation, and in OpenStack it is known as Heat. Okay, so that's one difference. when you have an OpenStack look and feel, when you actually install its modules, work around with the single node as well as the multi-node, and dance around with the files, you find yourself much more closer with the infrastructure. You find that the infrastructure is kind of in your hands to basically modulate or work around with. It becomes a lot more easier to operate it in that way. That's what OpenStack's main aim is. Okay, so that's what I said. If you're a Linux administrator, you would find yourself much more comfortable with OpenStack. If you are more of a GUI kind of person, you might find yourself comfortable with AWS. Now, it depends upon your interest, self-interest, and of course the interest of an organization, that what it wants. Okay. So DevOps and the different orchestration tools. So we've discussed what is before OpenStack, what is OpenStack, what then? So once you have an OpenStack infrastructure up and running, and you're ready to go out there in the market, and you've got the customers as well, what do you want to do then? You obviously have achieved a bigger infrastructure now. What do you want to do later on? You want to orchestrate, you want to automate the system, you want to do the less manual work, and you want to be more dependent on the automation. That's where Puppet, Chef, Docker, Ansible, Salt, these tools come into picture. So you can always integrate OpenStack with these tools. Again, the choice of the tools is something that you want to understand yourself, that which one you are comfortable with, and the way they operate is different. So which one you are comfortable with, you want to opt for it and then integrate it with your private cloud. Okay, so that will give you a better infrastructure, that will give you a better focus on what do you want to do. You can invest more of your time into quality work, leave the rest of these things on the automation. So that's what OpenStack will do. That's what you should do. That's how you should approach. You should know what is before OpenStack, then what you need to know before you start learning about OpenStack, and what do you want to do after you've learned OpenStack. Okay. So before I go into a little bit of a looky of OpenStack, I'll just take a couple of questions by that you guys have. So someone is asking, is DevOps training is given at Edureka? So the answer is yes. OpenStack, we can install, just AWS also be done in the same way? Basically, no, that's not how AWS have their way. So that's not an open source. Okay. But does it support Windows operating system? No, it does not. As simple as that, it does not. Red Hat is not providing OpenStack support. So again, it's like you asking me that you've ordered from Swiggy or Owl from one restaurant, and then you ask Swiggy that, are you not going to give me the support out of it? So Swiggy is only responsible to answer or deliver. Its responsibility is only to deliver. So Red Hat, of course, will help you out with its server, with its Red Hat satellite servers, or with other modules. But when it comes to a bigger infrastructure, when you've integrated a lot of OpenStack tools, Red Hat may not be of use for you. Okay. OpenStack sits on the top of the Linux flavors, yes. What is orchestration? Orchestration basically means automation, okay. Can we launch a Windows VM in the OpenStack environment? Yes, of course you can do that. Who is Mirantis and what they actually do? Mirantis is basically a third party which is supporting OpenStack. So there are certain set of developers who are working. Mirantis has got their own OpenStack So they have their own virtual machines being launched. You have to have the virtual box, take the virtual machine, in change certain set of files, and you can have your own OpenStack running. Red Hat has RDO, Ubuntu has Canonical, Branches has their own, SUSE has their own. Okay, so different Linux supporters have their own versions of OpenStack. Okay. So that's what it is. Let's take a little bit of a look-see on how it's gonna be looking like when we have an OpenStack running in our environment. So just stay put for a couple of minutes till I take a look-see. So I have my OpenStack running in my own lab setup at this point of time. Okay, so this is like the front end login that you get when you install your OpenStack for the first time, and when you want to log into the infrastructure via the GUI. So all you have to do is you have to give your credentials into the infrastructure. Of course, your services should be up and running to facilitate your login and to facilitate the authentication. This is a bit slow because of the resources available, but yeah. So there you go. So this is how it's gonna look like. You're gonna have, you know, your compute where you could see your overview instances. That means the virtual machines. The volumes means the disk drives which is being added to the virtual machines. Your images, your access and security. Then there is your network. Then there is your orchestration, which is basically your automation where you want to work with. So this is your heat module. Then there is your object store, then your admin profile with a lot of information, then your identity. So this is how it looks like basically from the GUI. So this is your Horizon dashboard. It should be properly integrated with you. I mean, your Apache should be working properly and nicely for this to work properly. Then you know you can access your infrastructure from the dashboard. At the same time, you can you know access your infrastructure with your command line as well. So I have to source myself to the admin, and I can have, you know, the status for all the services which are running. So there will be many services which will be running in the OpenStack, which will give you the front end, you know, look and feel of how this looks and how the services are working, whether the services are up or not, whether they are active or not. If they're not active, if they're not working properly, if your module has not been configured in the right manner, you will not be able to access your infrastructure properly, and you might run into certain kind of errors. But then again, it completely depends on how you've configured the infrastructure, what you have chosen to download, and what you've chosen to implement, what you've not chosen to implement. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. Now this is going to load a lot of things for me at this point of time. So this is going to go on and on and on and on, and this is going to tell me what are the things that are there in my infrastructure. So it's going to tell me modules, what are the computes I'm running, what are the images that I have in my infrastructure, what are the flavors that I'm using, what are the instances which are up and running, what is the status of those instances, and a lot more things. Basically, it's going to tell me a lot many things. So yeah. So this is how you're going to access the command line, and then there is your Horizon dashboard. So we have two ways of accessing the OpenStack, unless you have any other REST API for you to facilitate the access of OpenStack. So this is just a look feel of how it's gonna look, you know, and how this infrastructure is basically built upon. Okay, so let's go back to the slides and let's continue from there on. So okay. Okay, so this is what it's basically OpenStack is. There are a lot many modules within OpenStack. The one important thing that you must know is OpenStack. You can learn OpenStack, but you have to give a lot of effort. You have to try a lot and fail a lot many times. So that's how you're going to learn what basically it is and how it works, to basically understand the infrastructure. Okay, so once you get to know it, it's really interesting to work upon. Okay. So these are the batch details which are available to you. I hope you guys already had a discussion or already had a conversation over it. So we basically have a 42 hours, 42 hours of classroom, and we have got a lot of assignments at the same time for you guys to do. So assignments is something that you guys need to do, and apart from the presentations that we have, you guys can actually, go ahead and take a look and feel of it. We have usually the weekend classes which are on Saturdays and Sundays. You have got an offer which is 15% off at this point of time. It will be valid till 17th of June. So you guys can, call Edureka and ask them for the details. The recording of this session will be mailed to you within 24 hours, and presentation will also be shared to you guys to, get a closer picture of the recordings. The modules which are basically carried upon in mastering for OpenStack is we have Nova, Neutron, Glance, Keystone, Salometer, Heat, Trove, Central Logging, Cinder, and Swift. These are the basic components of OpenStack for you to actually achieve the infrastructure. So these are the discussions that we carry upon when we are taking the batches. So so you guys can, go ahead and enroll yourself, or if you have any queries, or if you are interested in any other modules, you can call the Edureka support, and these guys are there to help you out 24/7. So you guys should call them up and take their help in deciding what you want to do. Of course, I do want to talk about the opportunities of OpenStack. Again, this is something of your interest, whether you want to take it up or not. OpenStack certainly is a very, adaptive open source technology at this point of time, because people are slowly moving towards cloud computing. Not slowly, they've already moved towards cloud computing. And OpenStack is one of the fastest growing platform which is available today. So it's more challenging. It's more challenging to actually implement. It's more challenging. It involves more learning. It involves more of an effort. It involves more of an upfront work to understand the infrastructure. It's very mature at this point of time, considering that it has been in the market for 5 years. PayPal basically claims that they have successfully achieved 100% of infrastructure, private cloud infrastructure with the help of OpenStack. But still, they have to be dependent on VMware networking components because they are the strongest out there in the market. So there are many tools that requires to be integrated with OpenStack. When I say about open source, I get a lot many questions asking that, does this mean that OpenStack is free of cost? I would say that yes, OpenStack, the modules are free for you to just download and then implement. But it's not just a standalone component. You will need a lot many tools to actually support your huge infrastructure where there are thousands of nodes, and you require bigger tools to help you out with lot many loggings, ticketings, access, database. So there are a lot many things which are there to understand. Okay, so you guys should always keep a bigger scenario in the picture and understand what basically OpenStack is and why it is there in the market. Of course, there are a lot many opportunities which are there for OpenStack. It's going to stay for next 5 years unless there's something else which comes and challenges it. But yes, there are many. There are many. The market is pretty good for OpenStack. Even the packages are pretty good. If you have this skill added into your resume, so you guys can actually, it wouldn't even hurt so to go ahead and actually learn this. So this is what the career is with OpenStack. Does Edureka help the trainees for the jobs? I'd rather have you contact the Edureka support for this, but I guess no. I don't think so, but you guys can ask them. Will you provide the lab access to OpenStack to do the practice? Well, what we basically actually do here is that we try to actually help you set up your own lab, the basic lab, okay, so that you could access the infrastructure and understand the modules. So that's what we help you through basically. So if you require further access or support, you guys can call the Edureka to ask them, okay, that if you require the infrastructure support, you can definitely ask them. Any courses on SDN? I don't know. I'm not aware of SDN, so you can ask the Edureka for the SDN, but in my course of Mastering OpenStack, no. Okay. So does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Srinivas, that is feasible. That is feasible. A heterogeneous environment is completely feasible. You will have the DevOps training as well. So if you actually go to the Edureka and check their courses, you can actually see I should be able to actually, yeah, I mean, I should be able to actually show you guys. Just hang on a moment. Let me just. Which one is better, AWS or OpenStack? I would rather I'd rather have you answer this yourself. Okay, I mean, you can understand once you learn both the technologies, you can find yourself where you basically stand. Okay, so I think you can see over here what they have. Yeah, over here. So you have it over here, DevOps. So yeah, so you can choose that. Okay. So you guys can actually go to the site and please look around the site. Choose what you want to opt for. If you want to go for DevOps, or you want to go for Python, do you want to go for Hadoop, do you want to go for OpenStack? You have the courses listed over here. You can come over here in your courses session and you can check. Okay. Certification is completely your own choice. The one which we have is the CL210 certification for OpenStack. Once you have that, mastering OpenStack, you can thereon move forward with the other courses or the other certifications of OpenStack. Okay. What is the objective of OpenStack course? What do you think is the objective of OpenStack? What in your terms is the objective of even learning OpenStack? It's like asking what is the need to learn Java if there is .NET? What is the need to learn .NET if there is Python? What is the need to learn Python if there is C++? Doubt sessions, it depends on what kind of lecturer that you have in your course. Okay, if you have taken what course they want to take, how they want to take it, it depends upon the instructor. And yes, of course, we are here to actually clarify the doubts all the time. Okay, so if you have any issues with the setup or anything, of course we will help you out. That's why we are here. So okay guys, I mean, if you guys have any more questions, and yes, one more thing, if you guys want to go ahead and learn or know what are the modules that we take through while we go through the mastering of OpenStack, log into the site of Edureka, go to the courses and check out the content that they have, the course content that they have, while they're going through the OpenStack sessions. Okay, so that will help you to see what you want to learn, what you want to do, or whether it is suitable for you at the first place. If it is not, then don't take it up. If it is, then do take it up. Okay. So you guys should be very understandable on what you want basically at the first place. So go ahead and scroll around. I mean, they're not going to charge you on just scrolling around with the courses, so please do that. Okay. And okay, if you have shift or any timings issues, you can call the Edureka. They can help you set up your timings. Okay, they can help you put in the session which is more comfortable to you in your time. So you can work with them, call them up and ask them. Okay, so I'll take up the last question if anyone has before I wrap up. So if anyone have any questions, I'll wait up, take up the last question. Okay. Okay. So so I have one question. I'll just take it up and go in detail. So in case if anyone else has this question, they might understand. The OpenStack, you can expect a lot many things that requires in OpenStack, basically in a heterogeneous environment. When you move on to a very big infrastructure, which is, let's say, a production infrastructure, you will have lot many tools working around. There is going to be, if at all it is supportive, you might have Vagrant, you might have HPSA, you will have HPOO, you will have Nagios, you will have many other tools which will be working along with OpenStack. What OpenStack is going to do is help you create your own private cloud, launch your instances in a heterogeneous environment where there are multiple hypervisors from the different vendors, where you have lot many nodes that you want to launch up. You want to use OpenStack under those scenarios. So this is one example where you actually could make use of OpenStack. So this is same as what AWS would do for you, okay? OpenStack would do the same. Depending upon what you want to choose, this is again on your choice. But when we talk about a huge production environment, this is not just going to be the one tool. You are going to use a lot many tools available out there. You want to use the different kind of, backup, maybe semantic backup, maybe NetApp. What do you want to use? You maybe want to be dependent on the other switches, maybe Cisco switch or some other routers that you want to be dependent upon. So they are the third-party plugins that you want to integrate with OpenStack. Okay, so the production environment is going to get bigger and bigger according to the facilities or according to your requirement of the company. Okay, so that this is going to get huge. This is going to get very huge actually. Okay, in the production environment. The minimum requirement, basically, the official site of the Red Hat or Ubuntu says that it is safe to use or work on OpenStack when you have 3 GBs of the virtual machines running. But I have had my personal experiences. It gives a lot of issues when you want to install more modules and work around with them. Should have at least have a minimum of 8 GB of RAM to work around properly on top of a virtual machine. So that you have a good or a better feel of you get more comfortable working in such kind of an environment. Yeah, I mean, this is my recommendation. Okay. So basically, if you have a development background, this is an additional skill of OpenStack for you. If you have an administrative background, this is gonna have another skill set added in both cases. A bit of a knowledge on a Linux platform, Neutron, and having networking and virtualization is always recommended. But if not, then that's okay, because you have to start at some point. Okay, some technology would require some things from your end, some things from the instructor end. So yeah. So okay guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Any further questions that you guys have, you guys can always call Edureka and decide what you want to do. Okay, please go through this the course content of OpenStack before you take it and understand what is being delivered. And please understand your requirement, that's what you want to do. Okay, so that it becomes easier for you, it becomes easier for us. We are here to help you out. You guys can call them. You guys can reach to the instructors. You guys can reach Edureka support for any technical support that you require. They're very flexible to help you out. Okay, so you guys can reach them up. And you guys can get these recordings, within 24 hours maybe. And so, you guys can work around with that. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this session was very knowledgeable for you. I hope that, some of you might have decided whether you want to go for OpenStack or AWS or DevOps. I hope that you guys can find a proper route in your career. If you want to choose OpenStack, or even if you want to take it up for a learning, it's never a bad thing. So it completely depends upon what you want to do. Okay, so please reach out to us at any point of time, and make use of the sessions which are available and the support which is available over here at Edureka. Thank you so much for joining, and perhaps I'll see some of you in my next class if at all possible. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Please be patient till the recordings and the presentations are shared to you. Okay. Okay, someone has a question for me. Well, the next batch is starting perhaps on 18th of June. Maybe you want to join that one. If you have any issues with the offer that you want to see, do call the Edureka support. Okay, they are there. Just hang on a moment. One moment. Just a moment. So, wait. So I would want you to call this number, and okay, so you guys can check up with them and see whatever you can avail, whether you can get the 2+2, I mean 1+2 offer, or 50, or is it 50 for you, whatever you are comfortable, whatever you have, what is eligible for you, you can get that. Okay. Buy one get two is not an offer for you because you must have just joined. I have an account, so that's why maybe I am seeing this. Maybe there's that difference. Okay, so so do you guys have any more questions? Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna wrap it up, and I hope to see you guys in our sessions, and work around with that. So good luck, everyone, and have a great day ahead. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you all. Thank you.